So welcome and Jai Bhim to everyone. And this is a wonderful day as a good morning for US folks, and then late evening, of course, late night in India. As everyone is aware, this is a talk series started by Ambedkar International Center, which has established largest statue in North America sometime back. And it is the organization which always strive to do greater things for the community and build the community harmony to achieve whatever the mission Dr. Ambedkar has given us. So with that, we always try to think how we are walking, in which direction we are walking. And it is very, very important for us to reflect on that journey. So that's where this talk series is. The aim of this talk series is to reflect on the journey and take the brainstorming session, understand where we want to walk, and then walk towards that particular path. Okay. So I'm very happy to see that today Sujat has joined us. And as everyone is aware, Sujat is an Indian activist. He's a journalist also. He's a politician now. Sujat Ambedkar has been doing so many things for the community since whatever the time he is into the political arena right now. And he has graduated from Ferguson College, Pune, with a degree in political science. So his major is political science. He's MSc in election campaign and democracy from Royal Holloway University of London. He also earned his diploma in journalism from the Asian College of Journalism in Chennai. As we all know that Sujat Ambedkar is a great grandson of Dr. Balasaheb Ambedkar, and he's a son of Advocate Prakash Ambedkar and Anjali Ambedkar, right? Sujat is the leader of the Samyak Vidyarthi Andolan and the youth leader of the underprivileged Bahujan Aghadi political party. We all understand that having access in the political arena is very important for the success or the upliftment of the community. Dr. Ambedkar has tried in variety of ways, gave a brilliant party, Republican Party of India. People might not be aware, but if we try to see and look back in 1957 after elections, we had large base, and that base, like more than 11 members were sitting in the parliament. Today, we do not have that kind of strong political party which could take the problems of our community and present and try to solve it. And this session is important because this is how I look at it. Dr. Ambedkar has set a very high bar as a leader, okay? He graduated from almost all top universities in the world. He set the tone that what leaders should be. He has written so many books, and one of his books is very prominent, as you all know, Rana Gandhi and Gina, where he defines that what is intellectual leader needs to do. And as he has set that bar, it is very hard for community people to see the other rising leader as a leader of that stature and then accept it. But at the same time, we all need to understand that we have to build the leadership. We have to basically push our leaders to the higher heights so that they can challenge the Brahminical systems or Hindu systems and solve the problems what we have in the community. With that brief, I would like to, so the session will be divided into two halves. The one is, of course, Sujat is going to talk about the topic, and then we will have the follow-up questions. As we are already 13 minutes late, we will basically have at least 45 minutes talk and followed by 30 minutes question and answers. We will have the hard time to stop at 9:30, just to be conscious about the time of everyone because everyone is joining from different locations. With that, I would like to invite Mr. Sujat to come and talk on the topic. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Takshat. First of all, I would like to wish everyone Jai Bhim, and I hope that everybody is doing great. I would like to apologize for the delay, and there may be technical errors on my part as I'm on the move and I'm not using my own system. So if there are any technical errors which may affect the recording, I apologize duly in advance. But on that note, let us begin. I will try to finish my talk in due time so that everybody gets enough time for questions, and then we can continue with the rest of our session. So, firstly, I would like to thank all the members of AIC for having me over. Thank you so much. And again, Jai Bhim to everybody. So, while we begin and before we begin, I would like to draw everybody's attention to this famous quote by Dr. Babasaheb, where he says, the depressed classes require political protection more than any other minority community. This is only because the untouchables have historically been backward and left out from education, poor in the economic sense, a slave in the social sense, and weak in the sphere of politics as compared to any other community. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, this is available in Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Writing and Speeches, Volume 2, page 387. If anybody wants to refer to this, the publications of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar are easily available on balls. So I would like to appeal to everybody to go and visit the website as much as they can and to refer through Dr. Babasaheb's work, as they have made it easily available for us, and it is not only a hegemony of the Maharashtra government anymore. So in this sense, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar further argues when he submitted a report to the Southborough Commission that in constituencies, when two candidate which has two communities competing together and which has two candidates from different constituency, the voters will most likely present and put their sympathy in the in the candidate who's from their constituency or their community, and largely to the candidate who is representative of the majority. And in this particular case, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar raises a very important question: if such a candidate is a true representative of the constituency, is such a candidate a true mirror of the constituency, and if such a candidate can represent the best interests of the entire constituency. And further, in his report to the Southborough Commission, Babasaheb Ambedkar further argues that in an electoral fight between various groups, the voters will discriminate in favor of a candidate with whom their sympathy lies with. Given two candidates belonging to two different groups, voter will prefer the candidate from their own community, and this discrimination will underrepresent the interests of the minor groups and leave the minority groups without any real personal representation. And if we were to take this forward, if we were to analyze this, and in today's day, we can clearly see that Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar's prescient vision and his fears have truly come true, where we can actually find that from 1952, the number of SC and ST candidates in the parliament, the number of Dalit and Adivasi representatives in the parliament, which who are not elected from the reserved seats, have substantially gone down from 1952 to 2004. So, in short, we are saying that there are certain seats which are reserved for SCs and STs, and there are open seats where everybody can contest. The number of the open seats where SC and ST candidates are openly getting elected have substantially gone down from 1952 to 2004, and it has reached and it has hit the lowest mark in the 2014 and the 2019 parliamentary elections. And this figure itself will help us understand how important it is, and how really pertinent it is that political representation of Dalits, Adivasis, and OBCs are safeguarded in today's age, where we literally have almost negligible amount of people who are getting elected from the open seats. Now, this in itself will present two pictures in front of us. A, the representation given to us by the mainstream political parties, by the large political parties present in India. And secondly, the way a constituency thinks, or the way voters think about an independent political candidate. And to study this further, when I was completing my masters in when my masters in England at the Royal Holloway University, in elections campaign and democracy, I had actually taken this topic up to study it as a part of my dissertation, and which was titled, Does India Still Need Political Representation and Political Reservations? And in that, what was done was a survey experiment in the form of a mock election or an hypothetical race between four candidates. Four candidates, four candidates who, out of which two of them were from the general or the upper caste category. There were one candidate from the OBC category and there was one candidate from the SC category. As the election progressed, it progressed in four different waves, and with each incoming wave, caste cues relating to the candidate's social background were introduced. And as and how the caste cues were introduced, it was observed, and it took a there was a very effective change in the voting pattern the candidates, as the caste of the candidates were introduced. And this clearly shows that even in a survey done in 2021, there are effects of social background, of caste discrimination, may it be positive or may it be negative. And when I say positive discrimination, I only mean of candidates voting for their own caste from SCs and STs and not any other way around. If that the changing effect of the voting pattern clearly conveyed and showed that there is an active discrimination against candidates from SCs, STs, and OBCs, from the Dalit, Adivasis, and the Bahujans, vis-a-vis voting patterns as opposed to a person from the general category. And this only suggests that more and more representation in both state assembly and parliament is needed for the SCs, OBCs, and the entirety of what Balasaheb called as depressed masses, and in today's Ambedkarite movement in Maharashtra, which we call them as Vanchit. Because even though we have progressed and come a long way forward since where we began our fight from and where we took off from, we can see that Dalits, Adivasis, Bahujans, or Vanchits, or the depressed masses as Balasaheb referred them to, are lacking and have the worst indicators in the indexes of education, higher education, agriculture with land holding, health, employment in formal sector, employment in white collared positions, employment in leadership positions, and uh, lastly in representation in the form of political power. Now, while we argue and while people have said that there are a strong number of candidates, there are a large number of candidates who are still from the SC, ST, and OBC communities in the parliament, we cannot forget what Kanshiram has said uh, in his book The Chamcha Yug, that whenever an SC, ST, and or an OBC leader opens his mouth in the parliament, it is rather than to speak or argue, it is to yawn. This only means that the leaders are mere token in the hands of the larger political parties, may it be BJP or Congress. These leaders do not really have their own agency. They do not have the authority to speak their opinion. They do not have the authority to protect their community, the power to protect the community's interest, and in the real sense, they are not representative of our index, of our interests or the communities. Therefore, today there is a strong need for the leaders from the community who are Ambedkarite in ideology and really want to take forward Babasaheb's mission and Babasaheb's dream in the form of political power. And with these leadership, we hope that these leaders will, in future, speak in the House to protect our interests, to safeguard our rights, to demand and fight for our justice, to represent our situation, to represent our opinion, to present and help us achieve our demands, and lastly, to ensure our progress, our development, and our betterment through state power. Therefore, we have always been arguing, and this is one line that has always been taken by us, that is our party, which is that we have always received democracy in the mere right of voting, in the token right of voting. But what we want to fight for, what we aspire for, is democracy in the form of political power. And therefore, I would like to reiterate, re-stress that political power is important because we've chosen different ways to go forward. There are a lot of people who've chosen education and employment as a way of progress. And now, with how the things are developing, let us also understand what's happening on the other end. With the help of the political power, the current dispensation, that is the BJP, is bringing down a huge cut down of Zilla Parishad schools, of Gram Panchayat schools. They are trying to attack reservation in education by promoting the policy of privatization. Therefore, in a way, they are essentially trying to cut down our ladder to progress, which Balasaheb Ambedkar had clearly mentioned as education and which we had opted for these many years. There are certain instances where students from our community who have achieved and fought through a lot have been targeted in spaces of higher education, such as Dr. Rohit Vemula, Dr. Payal Tadvi, and Darshan Solanki from the IIT Mumbai. Now, these examples are examples of students who wanted to strive hard, use education as a tool to progress and develop. But in turn, what has happened is BJP, with the power they have, BJP with the state influence they have created a situation where students and the brightest of the students from our community will not be able to achieve our goals. Therefore, I just want to make a case in front of everybody present here today that our way forward is multifold. There are multiple paths we have to walk down, and there are multiple paths that we will have to fight on. While education and fighting our personal battle in our own space is a path that we all must walk down, coming together and striving to achieve political power to influence state policy for the betterment and development of our community is one goal we have to come together and achieve. Because I truly feel that Ambedkarism is the only ideology in today's day that can actually defeat the BJP's and the RSS version of Hindutva. But although I strongly believe that Ambedkarism is the only ideology that can defeat the current dispensation in terms of ideological battles and in terms of clarity of thoughts, we still must accept and realize the situation that Ambedkarite parties today, may it be the BSP, may it be the Azad Samaj Party, may it be the VCK, or may it even be Vanchit Bahujan Aghadi, do not have the machinery required to go and compete against BJP on every front that the battle is being fought on. And that is why I would like to appeal that there has to be a coming together of people from all walks of their life, people who are working in different streams, people who are engaged in different occupations, professions, to come together to fight for a common cause and to achieve our goal. Because I've always mentioned this as an example whenever I go, and this always amuses me. The fact that today parties such as Vanchit Bahujan Aghadi, BSP, Tholtirumawalam's party, Azad Samaj party, or the other Ambedkarite parties today who are functioning with the guidelines and the project and the dream that Babasaheb Ambedkar put forth do not have a research wing or a think tank that can compete with the mainstream parties. On the other hand, a political party like the BJP, which is completely against, say, rational thinking and logic, has the best research wing and think tank, which in itself is very contrary to what believes Ambedkarism works on. And that is why there has to be a coming together of people from different fields who can use their influence, who can use their skill sets, who can use their knowledge, who can use their expertise to help other people from the community, to different organizations help different organizations which are working on the ground in India or not even in India. Different organizations like the Caste Watch in the UK, like the BAME in the UK, like AIC in the USA, which are fighting different grounds for legal battles, for socio-legal battles, for socio-political and judicial battles. That there has to be a coming together of all the members of our society, all the members from the community, where we can come, fight together, and achieve our larger goal. And therefore, it is upon us, and it is truly upon our generation in the real sense, that in Balasaheb Ambedkar we take the mission forward and find a way to turn this heterogeneous mass into a homogeneous mass. I would like to thank all of you, and rather than this being a lecture or a one-way session, because there is an election approaching, because the times we are working are really different today, and because also I'm a representative of a political party who's going to face election in the three months, I would rather give more time to a round of question and answers rather than having a one-way conversation. So if there are questions, please come forth. I'm thanking all of you for inviting me and having me over once again.
I think this is wonderful. The way you have explained the need of the representation in the political arena to take up our problems and then resolve it. It's amazing. So thank you so much for detailing it out. And I think we have definitely good enough time to take questions. So I will request everyone, if you have not posted your question, you can raise your hands. We have not many participants, so we can definitely interact directly. And instead of me reading the questions, you can always, raise your hands and I will unmute you and then you can ask the question. So that way it will be more effective so that everyone can get a chance to interact with Sujat. I do have a couple of questions, but I will ask that later. Let me ask Mr. Ramkumar to open up with his question. Mr. Ramkumar.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Mr. Sujat Ambedkar ji. It was an honor to host and listen you on the AIC platform, and thank you all the attendees. This was really one of the very important talk. There are many organizations, there are many political parties. Everybody is claiming we are working on the mission of Balasaheb, but ultimately, which direction are we going? Are we just pulling each other and going nowhere? Is the question everybody is talking about and want to find the solution. And similar question I had, like right now, with making just the political participation or the ambition is the only game, because Satta ki chabi is required for the betterment, for the justice and for the development of our communities, of our people. So for that, we already have 120 plus MPs there. And in addition to that, you already mentioned a couple of names there. And there are many other, like small, big youth leader and the not so youth leaders there. They're also claiming that we are the only one working for youth. And it's a big confusion over there. So what should be the priority for the youth now? Make the political ambition as the first goal, because we are not also very rich community. We have other priority. We support the family, the career, and at the top of that, like we have too much challenges in the careers, our business and everywhere. So social activism is the parallel task there, where a lot of time it doesn't sync up. Different group have their different priorities first there. So in that case, like how you want to suggest how the people can come on a common platform together, definitely talking that we follow the Babsaheb ideology, that is going on for long. But the fact is, there are too many fractions there. There are too many people. And for youth, stage of the confusion, that where we guide them to go next. We want to hear it from you.
Yeah, so this is actually a very good question. Like you highlighted, I also completely believe that political activism for our community is a must, and it is quite difficult for us to walk away from that, from understanding where we come from and be understanding what we believe in. But we have to take it as a parallel walk of life, as you explained, because we are not an inherently rich community. We do not have land ownings, we do not have ancestral properties, we do not have generational wealth. And considering that youth who is looking forward to social or political activism has to also consider his to complete their education and to strive to be financially independent, because it works on two ways. Like I said, we are not a community which is generationally wealthy, so each and every person from the community is responsible for looking after themselves financially, economically. And secondly, what we are also striving for is political independence, and that political independence from larger society groups, independence from larger caste based groups, and independence from larger political parties also comes for me with financial independence. For example, if you are financially well off in politics, it is very difficult for some large party to eventually buy you off. And that, in terms of Maharashtra politics, we talk about Swabhiman. And that Swabhiman also comes for me from financial independence, and it has to be together. Now, addressing the second part of your question, yeah, I agree. There are a lot of organizations and there are a lot of political parties as well. But this also goes on to support the argument that Ambedkarite movement is an intellectual movement, is a movement of thought process. And in this intellectual movement, in this movement of pure intellect, it is very difficult for two or three organizations to have the same opinion or same view about every issue or every outlook, and therefore there are going to come differences of opinions. This differences of opinions then creates a friction, and this friction, I believe, is important for democracy and even to make us stand out as a movement rather than only one community, and a movement which is leading towards a civil society which is based on intellectual discourse, because this argument, this friction, this difference of opinion is creating a discourse, and this discourse formation is extremely important for us to take the Ambedkarite movement forward. And that is why, again, because there is a difference of opinion, there are different parties who are fighting for the same mission, fighting for the same goal, and have chosen to go down different paths. That makes us an intellectual movement and movement of ideas rather than a movement of caste. कि हम एक साथ आ रहे हैं या हम एक साथ काम कर रहे हैं हमारे विचारों की वजह से, और हमारे विचार नहीं मिल रहे हैं तो हम अलग रास्ते से एक ही गोल के लिए काम करेंगे, ना कि हम सब एक साथ आके बैठेंगे क्योंकि हम सब एक जाति के। दैट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन ब्राह्मण महासंघ एंड द अम्बेडकराइट मूवमेंट फॉर।
Thanks, Sujat, for answering that. Arhant has raised the hand. Arhant, can you unmute yourself and ask the question?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for allowing me for a question. I mean, I will just directly put into the questions because there will be a lot of other people who will be in the queue. So I have one question, and with the successor one. So my first question will be, we have a lot of political issues with our the Ambedkarite political party, as has been noted by Sujat in his speech. But as we see, a lot of our political parties are headed by a person-led parties. If we say VCK led by Tirumavalan, BSP led by Behenji, now we have a higher to it. Now Vanchit Bahujan Agadi has a higher to it, like we are seeing Sujat as is. So most of the political party are, as we called, is a family party as we see it. So at the moment, if you see, BJP has demolished all the political party who is running on the family identities. So this is a biggest issues for an Ambedkarite political party who wants to sustain or live for next 20, 25 years, or let's say 50 years. So we have to see in what context our political party who are having a family identity running on the political scenario are going to manage this issue, since the political party has to have the organizational a mantle, as now Sujat has talking about that we need to have, we are not like BJP or we are not like any other opposition political party who are having a healthy machinery to fight it on with the opposition. Now to do that, neither all of our political party are the family led, and second, there is no communication in between the the social organizations of these political parties. I mean, VBA have a social organization, then BSP has a social organizations party who is working at the ground. Sometime back it was BAMSEF, and now I mean now it's on political BAMSEF. Now VCK also is having a social organization. Some Azad Samaj Party is also having Bhim Army as a social organization. Now there is no communication between these social organization who are working at the ground level. Now these are two questions. One is why the family-led political party, will there be any end to it, or how we are going to face a behemoth like BJP, who is not a family-led political party. So second is how the social organizations who are working for the Ambedkarite political party can organize themselves together and have a communication in between to, to fill up this vacuum. So these are my two questions. Hope
Yeah.
I will stop it. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Aranji. So I'll answer your question in different parts if that is completely all right with you. So to begin with, what your observations are partly true, and I would like to counter them with a few facts. So, for example, VBA is not a family-driven party. VBA was established by the Dhangar community in Pandharpur, and then they had asked Balasaheb Ambedkar, Prakash Ambedkar to be their leader. So this is not a family-owned party. Secondly, as the heir, I may be an Ambedkar, but I am not the heir or nowhere close to being the heir of Vanchit Bahujana Aghadi, because I am a simple Karyakarta and a person who's working on the ground for the VBA and representing them on different issues and in talks such as these. But if you want to look at it structurally and legally, I do not have an official position in the Vanchit Bahujana Aghadi, which is a position of importance. I have always been working as a Karyakarta. Vanchit Bahujana Aghadi has Rekha Thakur, an OBC woman, as the second in command, and she will be the second in command. Going forward, my aim in the future and is always and always going to be to develop, help influence, and help support younger Ambedkarites and develop cadres who will then take the mission forward, who will then try to go and represent us, and then who will go on to fight the electoral battle. So rather than leading a political party, my aim and objective has always been, and to answer the middle part of your question, what should be the way forward? I think investing ourselves into development of youth, developing them financially, developing them intellectually, developing them politically and socially, so that they would take the battle forward, they would fight the battle forward, and then eventually we would see them as our leaders, our representatives, and who would take Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar's mission forward is one of the way I'm going. And nextly, I think between political organizations and political parties, there is certain communication, there is certain coming together. But eventually, this has come from an ideological conflict, a conflict in power, perhaps, and in some places, a different outlook at understanding and solving issues. So, for example, Vanchit Bahujana Aghadi and Thon Firuma Malam have always been on good books. Even during NRCCA, both these parties came together, organized protests, and have been working in good synchronization, I would say, and have been supporting each other whenever the need comes. Other than that, for example, now if I simply had to talk about BSP and Azad Samaj Party, they are in direct competition with each other in the same state, and that is why I feel it will be difficult for them to come together and work, because it may be a question of ideological differences, but it is a certainly question of differences of achieving political power. And my thing is, and my counter argument has always been that this is an unfair box which is put on our Bahujan leadership or Ambedkarite leadership, that you all have to come and work together. Nobody goes and asks Sharad Pawar ki, why isn't there one party for the Marathas? Nobody goes and asks JP Nadda if there is, why there is, or Rahul Gandhi ki, why there isn't one party for Brahmins. Why is this question only and only reserved for Ambedkarite leadership and the Bahujan leadership? we are smart people, we have our ideological differences, we have got a legacy from Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, who I think was the most intellectual to be ever born in our country. We have taken his movement forward, we have understood it, and in an intellectual movement there will come difference of opinions, there will be clashes of opinions, and you cannot always expect two intellectuals to agree and confirm upon a single point. There will be conflicting views, there will be differences of opinions, and that this difference of opinions will lead people to take different paths. But what is important is that we choose whichever party we choose, we support them and make sure that we are not in the process damaging us companion or a comrade in our cause.
Thanks, Sujat, for answering that one very boldly. And I understand that everyone is aware about the facts of it. So as we know, Dr. Ambedkar has stated in States and Minorities book that minorities cannot win the election. And the question was basically is something related to that. When we have fractions and so many parties around, and we know that minorities cannot win the election on their own, let me tell that, on their own. So what strategy you think from VBA or from the political sphere of Bahujan people they should adopt?
Sorry, can you please repeat this, Takshat? I'm so sorry.
Oh no, what I'm basically saying that we have fractions and why people basically think that they need to be united. Because if we look back the Babasaheb statement in states and partition and minorities, there he mentioned that minorities cannot win the election on their own. And when we know the fact of it, because in the political arena, when we go, we need a vote, right, at the end. So if minorities cannot win on their own, then what could be the strategical path we need to choose?
So one strategic path that VBA has chosen is coming together of different minorities. So in Maharashtra, scheduled castes have more than 24 castes in the scheduled caste category. There are more than 2,500 OBC groups, out of which more than 2,000 fall as micro OBC groups. And what we are achieving through Vanchit Bahujan Aghadi is coming together of smaller minority castes, micro OBCs, macro OBCs, and SC/ST communities, where even though their independent power is not enough to win a certain election, but coming together and transfer of vote, which is the basis of democracy and a democracy change that Vanchit Bahujan Aghadi is trying to achieve, is that earlier the social definition of intermingling amongst caste was summed up in this term called as roti beti व्यवहार, कि दो जातियों के बीच में अपनी रोटी, वो एक साथ रोटी तोड़ते हैं क्या और उनके घर में अपनी बेटी देते हैं क्या, was the basis of social intermingling among two caste groups. What Vanchit Bahujan Aghadi has done is diversified it further and made it into a social transfer of votes. So for example, if you consider the Hingoli Vidhan Sabha in 2019, Hingoli Lok Sabha in 2019 in Maharashtra, Hingoli has Vanchit Bahujan Aghadi in Hingoli got around 1,90,000 votes. The population, the candidate was from the Banjara Samaj, which is VJNT in Maharashtra. The community comes under SC in Karnataka and ST in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. Now the population of Banjara Samaj in Hingoli Lok Sabha is less than 50,000. But the candidate himself achieved almost a total of 1,90,000. Now how was this possible? This was possible because other minority castes, other micro OBCs and other SC communities transferred their vote to the candidate from the VJNT community. Now, this itself is a major social change where a community is transferring its votes, breaking the barriers of caste-based voting traditional system which has been long going in Maharashtra, and transferring a vote to a community which in hierarchy, in social hierarchy is lower than them, which is a Vimukta Jati or nomadic tribe. And that itself is coming together, joining smaller minorities to make to form a large minority. And that is, even though we take different meanings of, say, Babasaheb's use of the word Bahujan, Gautam Bugga's use of the word Bahujan, Manyavad Kanchiram's use of the word Bahujan, and Prakash Ambedkar's use of the word Bahujan has different connotations, but largely it leads to the same goal where it speaks about transferring of votes and coming together, because we know we are the 80% of this country. And that is why we've also slightly changed the slogan of Bahujan politics, where it went from agar na bhi ho, where it went from जितनी जिसकी जितनी संख्या भारी उसको उतनी भागीदारी, and changed it to अगर ना भी हो संख्या भारी फिर भी मिलेगी भागीदारी. And that is how we want to take it, where we want to make Vanchit Bahujan Aghadi a coming together of all the depressed, deprived masses who are vanchit, who are underrepresented, who are underprivileged, who are deprived, to come together, achieve state power, and then through state power solve their issues and protect their interests.
Perfect. Thanks, Sujat, for considering the collaborations and collision with like-minded people and more minorities. That's excellent. I hope that answers Rahul Pawar's question, and he's expecting that VBA, of course, Prakash Ambedkar ji unite many fractions, and of course, make collision with other.
If I can answer this question if you want as well.
Okay, I think that's perfectly fine. We will basically go to the next question. Akshay has asked, how do you how to do immediately disqualification of MPs who were fraud with public, as like Shinde Group, who changed party after election result? Any quick answer for that?
So this is happening only and only. So there was an anti-defection law brought in only to prevent this. But what has happened is, like we've seen with different wings of the state machinery, the election machinery has also been pocketed by the BJP. And that is why you can see the election commission not giving a very hard stance when the candidates are flocking to or with the BJP. And this entirely has to be stopped, and only can be stopped once we kick out BJP out of power, protect our constitution, and protect our constitutional organization and agencies.
Okay, thanks. I had seen Sarang had raised the hand. Sarang, do you still have a question? You can unmute yourself and ask. Okay, if not, I will move it to the next question. Vinay has asked. Okay, yeah, we can hear you, Sarang.
Yeah, Sujat sir, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Actually, is there any plan B if BJP comes to power in 2024? And if they want to change the constitution of India?
I won't say for the entire of the community of the or the entirety of the party or on behalf of the party, but if BJP comes to power in 2024 and they try to change the constitution, I personally will riot.
Thanks for that sweet answer. Going to the next, Akshay again asked a question that our officers working as election officers, they want to join and help to VBA. So how is it that possible? Of course, it's a political question, but if any quick pointers are there, it will be great.
So basically, our officers who are working as election officers or different adhikaris who are working as bureaucrats or who are working in different machineries can help us and should try and maintain contact through any backdoor means. This is simply because the current party in which is in power is a terrible, desperate political entity which will do anything to win and anything to squash opposition. So any bureaucrat or any officer who openly tries to join any Ambedkarite group will immediately face repercussion in their field of work. So therefore, I request everybody to use any channel which is not available, which is not public or which is not in the public eye, and we can come together, sit, discuss what is the way forward, how we can help you, how you all can help us. And if anybody wants to connect with us, they can please write to us at reachambedkar@gmail.com.
Perfect. Thanks, Sujat. I just wanted to highlight one point to everyone that when we see a beautiful building, under that building, there is a big foundation. Those stones are not visible to anyone, but because of their hard work and their sheer standard and the quality, the building stands. So we as a movement activist, we always need to think that we need to be the part of that brick structure which can hold the beautiful building. with that Vinay's question, is VBA going to give female leadership in 2024 Lok Sabha election?
Yes, of course. So to begin, let me just dig into the history. VBA had the highest number of women candidates in the Lok Sabha elections in 2019. VBA had the highest number of women candidates in Vidhan Sabha election 2019. Our party president is a Bahujan woman, an OBC woman called Rekhatai Thakur, and we all are happily working in her leadership. And she is the leader of our party. And to go forward, we have VBA is the only political party in Maharashtra to have a transgender woman be its state representative and have two transgender women as our spokespersons. And Vanchit Bahujan Aghadi is the only political party in the entirety of India to have a transgender woman in the state committee of our party making decisions. So yes, going forward, Vanchit Bahujan Aghadi will definitely have women leaders. We already do. And our task in the future is going to be to give them more strength and power, to support them, and to establish them as large leaders of Maharashtra and not only VB.
Thanks, Sujat. I think Dr. Meenakshi has a question. What will be the plan for West Maharashtra, from which she belongs, and she doesn't see any sincere leadership from SC/ST community?
Sorry. Can you repeat that?
There is a person, JPM, I think it's Dr. Meenakshi. Her question is, what will be the plan for West Maharashtra from where she's belonging? And she doesn't see any sincere leadership from SC/ST community coming from that area.
So for those who are from Maharashtra, the Western Maharashtra is infamous as the sugar baron belt, where there's no translation for this word. I'm sorry, I'm going to use a word from Marathi called Saranjami Marathas, which is highly caste practicing patriarchal Marathas who have land owning sugar cane farms, which is again a water intensive crop, have sugar factories, sugar industries, agro industries, and have therefore through the medium of capital, land, acquired and captured political power, and it is infamously known in Maharashtra as the Sairat Patta or the belt of caste atrocities. And the problem with Western Maharashtra is that any independent Ambedkarite leadership is subsequently squashed heavily by either use of state machinery or brute force by the BJP. And now the BJP, earlier it was done by the Rashtravadi Congress and the Congress. Since 2019, it has been done successfully by the BJP. Until then, the leaders of Rashtravadi Congress and Congress, who are the Saranjami Maratha leaders, that is highly caste practicing Maratha patriarchal leaders, have squashed any chances of Ambedkarite leadership coming forth in the belt of Western Maharashtra. Vanchit Bahujan Aghadi is trying to make inways and inroads into the Western Maharashtra belt, and we are trying to do it from the grassroots, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll see the results this election.
Perfect. Thank you so much for answering that one. I do not see any other questions in the chat box or any hand raised. So one of my favorite question is like Dr. Ambedkar always stress on social revolution, and he says that it precedes the political revolution. We understand that we need to build leadership to be in the political arena. And we have seen that during Balasaheb's movement, the social organization called as Samta Sainik Dal, which was the backbone. And in many speeches, Dr. Ambedkar credited that because of Samta Sainik Dal, he could carry his political party and mission correctly. We have seen the similar thing in the early BSP because Balasaheb was standing tall behind the BSP. And we can see in the opposition camp where RSS is so strong to support the BJP. How do we see we are doing into the social revolution sphere, and how do you think our political movement is backed by the strong social revolution?
So we have different social organizations working. The SSD is still working very strongly, like you said, the Samata Sainik Dal. We have another social organization which also works on the religious front, which is the Bharatiya Bodh Mahasabha, the Buddhist Society of India, which is doing its work to uh, further the work and further the mission of Dhamma. On the other hand, we have different student organizations such as the Samyak Vidyarthi Andolan, Vanchit Bahujan Yuvak Agadi, who are working with the youth, helping them be more assertive, helping them be more political and socially aware, and in a place to demand social assertion. And we are also basically with the opinion going that yes, political change and political revolution will come, but political revolution is not something which is achievable without achieving social revolution. And for that, our main aim has always been to spread awareness about Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar's thoughts, his dreams, and his vision for our community, our country, and especially our mission. And we all go with the one simple objective and a goal in mind, that all we have to do is spread Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar's thoughts and make every person aware of them. And if every person chooses to believe in Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar's thoughts, then political revolution is something that can be easily achieved, is something we believe in. And there's this one very telling quote by Advocate Prakash Ambedkar when he was asked about um, why he never compromises with bigger parties to get into political power. And his answer has always been that the revolution that Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar got about was without any political power, was a social revolution. And we are not going to compromise our dream of a social revolution for few minutes of political power.
Okay, perfect. I think that summarizes it very well. We have one last question on the chat box, and I see one hand raised. So let's get into the Ritik question. How can youngsters like me, who recently got employment, to contribute to the Ambedkarite political party? I just wanted to elaborate that little more, that every person from our community does have some kind of ambitions to be part of the political party or to help the political party. So if you can share like how person can contribute and join it, right, with their capability, that would be awesome.
There are multiple ways. There are thousands of ways in which youngsters such as Rutik Dada who recently got employment, can contribute to the Ambedkarite political party, or not even if a political party, the Ambedkarite movement at large. Firstly, everybody can start by preaching Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar's thoughts, by promoting and spreading awareness about Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar's thoughts and his mission and his vision. Secondly, we can work with people younger than us, students or children, in terms of removing all the false information, misinformation that today's ecosystem fills their head up with, and presenting Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar in the correct way possible. Supporting 5 or 6 children in their education, paying their fees, helping them, supporting them for their education financially, becoming a registered member of a political party, helping a political party or a political party financially. You can help a political party by giving donations. There are multiple of students who are unable to go to higher to institutions of higher education because the scholarships are not being released by the social welfare department, or they cannot simply afford the tuition fees. We can all come together and contribute and crowd fund their education. uh, every person has their own independent skill set which they've developed through education or through their profession. We can figure out and function out how these independent skill sets or your profession or your particular knowledge can help the movement at what point. For example, we can always have a doctors union where we can have treatments of our people who are not financially well off. We can have a lawyers union to come together and fight cases of atrocities or caste discrimination. We can similarly have a coming together of journalists who can cover and give more coverage to our issues and our interests, which are always underrepresented in the country. Political parties always need professionals with the considering how campaigns in the modern day and age have become a project. We always need people from different fields like MBA, from mass communication, video editors, graphic editors, content writers, people who work with data, people who are website designers, are all needed and required by political party. And unfortunately political parties today may not necessarily have the means to pay them at their market value, but people can always contribute their skill set to the movement, contribute their knowledge to the movement as a contribution to the movement, as paying back to the society. And lastly, yeah, we can all become a registered member of a political party and contribute financially or intellectually. Any help against the BJP right now will be a massive boost for any independent Ambedkarite political party trying to fight to save the constitution.
Perfect. Thanks, Sujat. I just wanted to add one thing, that strong water force always try to find its way and reach to the ocean. So we have to be that strong force. Going to the last person, Shashikant, can ask the questions, and then we'll conclude the Q&A. Dr. Shashikant, can you unmute?
Hello, Sujat, and everybody in the team. I just wanted to ask a question: whether one of the reason for BSP's this success was BAMSEF. So do we, Vanchit Bahujan Aghadi, is trying to build a think tank team on the basis of BAMSEF? Do we plan something like that? Do we feel it necessary? Do we feel it necessary for that? Thanks.
Yeah. It is absolutely necessary that we have a political think tank, because as I have said a number of times on this session itself, that our movement is largely an intellectual movement. Our movement is largely a movement of intellect, and that is why we need a think tank to go forward and to brainstorm, to form a path forward, to ideate, and to create a way forward. So, in that terms, what work BAMSEF did for BSP, Vanchit Bahujan Aghadi has 2-3 different wings doing it for them. So, the groundwork that BAMSEF cadres did for BSP are being done by the Samartha Sainik Dal and the Buddhist Society of India. And as a think tank, Vanchit Bahujan Aghadi has this Fule Ambedkarwadi Vidwat Sabha, which is the intellectual think tank behind VBA, which is comprised of few people who have joined us from the BAMSEF and largely from writers, thinkers, and intellectuals from the movement.
Thanks, Sujat. I just wanted to add one point, and I think that will be important here to trace on. We have to build institutions, and that's where Dr. Balasaheb Ambedkar also had focused. And though we basically think about the training cadres and raising people in a certain ideology, unless we build the ideological institutions and train and build a cohort system to come and get the training, it will be very difficult. But I think we will stop there. We are very close to the top of the hour, and as we know that any organizations to stand and tall, we need the tall leaders, and we need, of course, the hardworking tall leaders who sacrifice their time, energy, money, and everything for the betterment of the community. And I would like to invite Mr. Ramkumar, who is one of such leader, who is basically heading Ambedkar International Center. And he's the president of Ambedkar International Center as of today, to take the charge. Dr. Ramkumar.
Thank you, Takshak, for the words. I'm not the leader, actually. I'm one of you. And Mr. Sujat Ambedkar, first of all, our heartfelt, the thank you. And we really want to see leader like you, who is intellectual, well-educated, leading the community and taking the Balasaheb's Karwa forward with unity, many people asked and shared the same concern that right now we are talking about fighting a bigger giant BJP, but at the same time, like on the name of the ideology or different regions, we are fragmented. So we hope, you will be one of our stalwart in the future, and we want to see the PM of India, hopefully in our lifetime. We wish you all the best. Yeah. We know you are traveling today. It's hard to, like provide that much time in a busy schedule when elections are coming there, and you are definitely working with the youths there. Yeah, your presence and your talk, and your ideas to a lot of us clarified many doubts, and also hopefully it will inspire the youth there. We thank you, and also we thank all the audience who is, took some time, from your busy schedule, more than 1 hour, and attended the call, asked very good questions there, and we made this call very successful. And I would like to remind you that, the AIC is a non-profit organization. We are US based. So a lot of time people have lot many expectations that what we can do in India. So we have the limitations. I just want to, like let you know. But, as the community organization, we definitely would provide this kind of platform always, where AIC is needed to play the role there. And we are building a big memorial institution there, like Takshak mentioned, that we need the institutions. And AIC is such an effort there. Our center is very close to the Washington DC, and there's a history behind that. That we wanted institution which is very close to the White House. That at some point in future we will be able to do our part in the political lobbying, raise our voices there. That's where we are close, and that's where we need our youth leaders come and join us, participate even the discussions or intellectual ideas there, and or the financial contribution. We need all of that because in the US, I think you are cream of the community. So be part of the AIC. You can see how what we are doing on our website aicusa.org. If you want to join, WhatsApp group join link is there. You can join us, and from there, you participate. With any kind of whether the ideas or the financial or the volunteer there. You can link connect with us. And with these words, I thank all of you, and thank you, Mr. Sujat Ambedkar. Jai Bhim.
Thank you.
Jai
Thank
Bhim,
you for having me. Jai
concluding
Bhim.
the meeting. Thank you.